Hello, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and welcome to the webinar. The title is Giving a New Meaning to Parenting, Managing Screen Time of the Kids. This is a very common problem with all of us facing in this time in the world. Myself, I'm Dr. Tahir, American Board of Psychiatry, Neurology, and I'm practicing psychiatrist as well as a child psychiatrist and therapist here in Dubai Healthcare City. So I was asked to talk about the managing screen time of all ages, like we can say that from 0 to 18 or even above. With screens virtually everywhere, controlling child screen can be very challenging because the telephones and everything is screen, including the TVs and iPads and all these things. To complicate the matter, some screens can be educational for children. So we cannot say big no. For example, if there is something which can block totally, this is easy. But when there is a partial block and to manage, that is more difficult. So this may be mother is trying to help the kid for the school meeting or Zoom teaching session or something like that. So how do we manage child screen time? WHO says limits or no screen time for children under 5. So this is the cut and dry. In a new set of guidelines, the guidelines keep changing on the basis of the new information we develop. This doesn't mean that we were wrong before and now we find the best alternative or the best solution for that. What happens is there is a continuously informations are bombarded from all the sources, researchers all around the world, the universities and schools and hospitals and everywhere. So whenever there's a new preponderance of research evidence, then these guidelines actually change, are a little bit altered, are adjusted, or modified. So the new guidelines, they are saying the infants under 1 year should not be exposed to electronic media. Is it possible? It's very difficult, but I think we should be following this. Children between the age of 2 and 4 should not have more than 1 hour of sedentary screen time each day. This is the guideline. The no screen time is better than even this one, in my personal opinion. Limiting and in some cases eliminating screen time for children under the age of 5 will result in healthier adults. Oh, this is a very big statement. Saying what does it mean? Because the child's brain is growing very, very rapidly. If you can see the child brain growth during pregnancy, this is the most highly growing organ in the body. So even after the birth, you can see that disproportionately the children, the infants have a higher head size relatively as compared to the body size. So the brain development is much earlier than any other organ in the body. After the birth, the first 7 years, the maximum brain development happens. And at the 7 years of age, it's not plateau, but the progress is little bit slowed in learning. So that's why when they say that eliminating the screen time can result in healthier adults, means in the first few years of life, very crucial. Of course, the genetics, the genetic loading, plus the environment, the home environment, the environment in the school, early part, pre-K, nurseries, all these things matter. And the screen time is not very productive because this is a one-way communication, and plus there are other things which we'll be talking later. Children under 5 years should also get more exercise and sleep in order to develop better habits. So this is pointing out towards if the children are spending so much time on the screen and they are addicted or habituated to it, then they will have a less time for their unstructured activities, exercise, or human relationship. And while they are watching the screen, most likely they are sitting. and they are probably eating, snacking, or something which can lead to other problems like obesity, and in adolescents and adults like the weight gain, and so on and so forth. Unstructured playtime is more valuable as compared to the screen time for a young child's developing brain. Children younger than 2 years are more likely to learn and remember information from a live presentation than they are from a video. Um, After seeing this slide, I will warn the parents. Sometimes the parents say, "Oh, our child is learning from the screen, or from there are programs in the on the TV or on the YouTubes, and our childs are learning how to behave, how to get up, how to do the activities during the daytime, how to do the habits of going before going to sleep, what are the things they need to do." So all these things are valuable, but trust me, the quality and the effect of person to person communication is much superior to the learning from the screen, or learning from the video. And this has been replicated in many studies, many studies and many research programs. So also there is another thing which I would like to draw attention of the parents. I often see the parents who are having some kind of attention deficit issue, the focus issues or problems. So those parents oftentimes, when they come for the evaluation, and I see that, I see, yes, this has some attention issues, focus issues, they are losing things, they are procrastinating, and they are starting so many activities and unable to finish. So on the basis of that and the other information, when I tell them, oh, child might have a little bit ADHD, and the parents' argument, because it's very difficult to accept some problem or some issues with our children, and we don't want to see that, but at the same time we don't want to close our eyes if there is something already existing. So those parents make the argument that, but our child, like son's 8-year-old or 10-year-old, you are telling doctor he has some attention issues as per your assessment, but how come he is on the video screen, or he is playing video games and watching the YouTubes for hours, and he can tell you the story word by word, and he is not missing a sentence. In fact, still, even if he or she is doing like this, still they can have attention issues and focus issues. This is a whole full talk and lecture, but I will just comment on this one and move on. Is that there is a huge incentive, the addiction kind of feelings in the children when they are watching their favorite game or their favorite program, YouTube. So that incentive actually drive them to keep focus on that. When you give them the math activity or some other activity which they are not interested in, the inattention and focus becomes much more pronounced. So the parent should not be deceived by this idea that how come he is focusing in one area and the other area he is not focusing. This is very common, and this should not be restricting any taking further treatment, evaluation, or anything. But anyway, so that incentive in any kind of activity is the key treatment tool we use for the children who have ADHD. But anyway, so we'll focus, keep on the screen problems and issues and videos. By age 2 years, children can benefit from some type of screen times. For example, I said before, such as programming with music, movement, and stories by watching together. So this is important. The children who is just sitting alone and watching some YouTube video or something and just focusing, and it's not interactive, that is not very helpful. So what helpful is if you watch together, parents are watching or the siblings are watching together, older sibling watching with the younger sibling and trying to explain and sharing thoughts and discussing about the video of like a positive video or some good message. That is more helpful than solo watching any program or video. However, we also say that the passive screen time should not replace reading, playing, or problem solving. And this point came up because many parents say that our children gave up the physical activity, our children gave up the play dates, are playing with the other kids, are spending time with us, even they don't want to sit and eat with us. They just want to sit in the corner and watch the videos and they eat. So, because when you eat together, you cannot watch the video or you cannot be on the screen when other people are sitting. Usually, the parents keep interrupting them, asking them, "Why don't you communicate with us? Why don't you share with us what's going on? How was your day? How did you do in the school? How is other things?" So, passive screen time is more harmful and it can eat up a time because in 24-hour only you have a certain time for useful time. For example, if you remove the sleeping time and bathing time and taking care of your time, you will left with only few hours. And if those hours you are spending on the screen, you have to cut the other healthy activities like reading, playing, and problem solving, and so on and so forth. As the children grows, they are also too much or poor quality screen time has been linked to the following things, as we say: obesity, irregular sleep schedules, shorter duration of sleep, behavior problems, loss of social skills, violence. As you can you have noticed in the news, there are sometime once in a while there is a very violent video games when the kids are watching and their small brain cannot comprehend that and they try to replicate it in many different ways, or at least they fantasize it, and they can get involved into the violence. And cyber crime or cyber bullying is very famous as well in terms of like when you are playing the games together. So less time for play, as I said before. So this is the American Academy of Pediatrics discourages media use except for video chatting by children younger than 18 to 24 months. So video chatting is like, we do the WhatsApp or Zoom or Skype chatting, because that still has some form of social element. Like you see the person on the other end, and you can see the gestures, the words, and it's a kind of a two-way communication, not one way. If you introduce digital media to children under 18 to 24 months, make sure it's high quality and avoid solo media use. As I said, that they take the telephone and sit in the corner and keep watching. For children ages 2 to 5, limit screen time to 1 hour. High quality programming. So this is if worse come worse, you have to share the screen and you have to have the children watch, because the problem now is we are living in the society in which you cannot be very, very eccentric. If you tell our children, okay, this is our home, this is our rules, we have to follow this. Yes, this is a good thing, but there is a limit to it, how much we can put the limits, because otherwise the children will start being affected because of the conflicting information and conflicting views. By living in the society, we cannot isolate ourselves, because the children, their friends, if their friends are watching YouTubes or video games for 4, 5 hours, 6 hours, their parents, because every parents are different, they have their different viewpoints, and I would encourage the parents to learn about this. But still there are so many parents, actually they take it as a respite in their work. For example, 4 or 5 year old child is need a time from the parents, and parents are very busy, they cannot spend time with the child, so they give them the phone or they give them the iPad or the something else, so that the child is busy and they can do what they like to do. But that is very, very harmful. So what I'm saying is, if you are setting the limits with your children, 2 to 5 year old, and they are seeing their friends, their colleagues, and their peers, they are being there, spending more time on the screen, they will come and question you. They say, how come so and so, Abdullah or Ali, why they are using, or Saima, why they are using more screen time, and why we are not allowed to do that? So oftentimes the parents comes to this dialogue, and this can create a problem, and the parents sometimes they get frustrated and irritated because they feel that this is their right to set the limits, rules in the home, and the children has to follow and accept. But unfortunately, that is not the case. In the present day world, the children are more educated on the one hand, they are more learned, the world has become global village, so information spread from one part of the world to the other end, and in this case, you cannot say this is my way or highway. We have to convince the young brains. We have to talk to them. We have to start the dialogues, and we have to educate them, the negatives and positives, and convince them. And it will take a little bit time and effort, but at the end it will save you time, because if the children are convinced and they learn this, and they will be a good role model for the other children who are spending more time on the screen. But it will require initial energy and time and effort to help the child learn this behavior. And this is possible early on, because if we don't pay attention to this thing and keep going like this, they are spending as much as time they want, and they are doing as much as they can, and they're watching whatever they like, it becomes a problem later on, and it will be very, very difficult to adjust that or to correct them. It is not impossible still at any age, but I would say it is relatively easier in the early age. For example, if the child is 2, 3 year old and we develop the habits, we play with them, the physical activity, reading, story times, blocks, Legos, so and so forth, or watching on the big screen TV, like some healthy programs. So if we develop these kind of things, then these kids will have a less resistance to amend themselves to not to watch so much screen time or so much spend time on the telephone, the other things. But if we let it go for initial few years, and until they develop these habits and they are used to it, then it will be a little bit difficult to exterminate the behavior and to help them follow the screen time rules and follow the house rules and follow the rules, what video they can watch, what video game they can play. But I do not discourage the parents. For example, I'm sure there will be parents who are who children are the adolescents now. I mean, this has been many years, and they unfortunately they go with the flow, and they could not do much, and now they are adolescents, and they are up at night and watching the video or chatting with the peers and stuff like this, and it's very difficult. Now, if they are adolescents and they have gone into this habit and they have developed this behavior, then you need to be a little patient and deal with them as an individual, not as an entity or not as a property. Because if you deal them as an individual, automatically you will respect their feelings. You will respect their thoughts, feelings, and their own likes and dislikes. If you respect that and try to educate them and convince them with the positive arguments, never lie to them. I agree. I mean, lying is not helpful, because you will lose the trust, and your even positive things cannot be taken as a positive things. So you have to convince them, you have to educate them what you know, and uh, help them learn the behaviors which is positive, and learn the behavior which is healthy, like playing, exercise, healthy eating, communicating, and be empathic with each other, the human lives, all these things. Okay, so as I have just touched upon, the one size doesn't fit all approach. It doesn't work, because there will be a different approach for the adolescent children. Their task is like, the goal in life. Probably in the last, I think in our last webinar, I'll be talking about the developmental stages. The developmental stages mean at each stage of life, children has to achieve certain goals. If they don't achieve that goal, then there will be a deficiency, and later in life they can have a problems, different kind of problem. In the adolescent years, as we are talking, in the adolescent years, the goal achievement is identity versus role diffusion. I mean, we'll be talking in more detail, but just for the sake of this slide. So identity means the adolescent usually want to identify themselves. So help them. For example, the girls, they can identify with their mother, with their aunt, with their teacher, with their mentor, whoever. And the boys, they can identify with their father, with their teacher, with their mentor. So help them identify with the good role model. Even it can be out of the social circle, even it can be out of the family members. They can idolize somebody and they identify themselves with that person. So the worst example of this identification is that if somebody identifies themselves, some adolescent identify themselves with somebody who is not a good person, who has some abnormal behavior or some criminal activity or something. If they identify with that person, then that can be a real problem, and that will require a lot of time and expert help to help them come back to the So basically, at each age, your strategy should be different to help guide what is appropriate in terms of screen time, in terms of child's behavior, in terms of their daily activities, in terms of their educational activities. So all these things, they should be adjusted according to the age of the child. So consider applying the same rules to your child's real and virtual environment. In both, play with your child, teach kindness, be involved, and know your child's friends and what your child does with them. This is very important to know the peers, who they are, where they belong to, what is their ideology, what kind of virtues or what kind of behavior they admire, and what kind of activities they dislike. So this is very, very important for you to, because the kids learn a lot from the peers, even more than from the parents and from the siblings sometimes. Also, keep in mind the quality of the media your child is exposed to is more important than the type of technology or amount of time spent. The quality of media. There are, unfortunately, in now world becoming the global village, and anybody can post on Facebook, on the Instagram, on the website, and personal blogs and YouTubes and all these things. So the authorities are trying to censor those things and try to put limit on that, but still there is a lot of leaks and there's a lot of things which are not other different ways to filter it and do it. It's very, very important. We need to know what they are watching and what website is and what are the media contents. So review programs. I mean, whatever your child is watching, try to see the games, the apps before allowing your child to view or play with them. Organizations such as Common Sense Media can help you determine what's appropriate. Better yet, watch, play, or use them with your child. So it's a good idea to watch with them. Do not leave them alone. Sometimes the preview may not be sufficient to see what's coming up in the later part of the game or the program. So it's better to watch with them. Seek out interactive options that engage your child rather than those that just require pushing and swiping and starting, so on and so forth. Parental control or block or filter internet contacts is another option for the parents. Make sure your child is close by during the screen time. Never let the child stay alone in the room where they are using the screen time and you don't know, because it's sometime they may be watching some kosher program or the good program, but all of a sudden something else appears in that program, because they are shifting. Some advertisement companies, they can bring their ads which is maybe inappropriate for the child. So that's why it's very, very important to stay close and keep an eye on that. Ask your child regularly what program, games, and apps he or she has played with during the day. So if they are hiding or they are, if there is a suspicion, you need to keep a close eye and check on that and what's happening. When watching programming with your child, discuss what you're watching and educate him or her about advertising and commercials. So they need to understand what are the advertisement mean, what are the commercial means, because there is a great chance that they will misinterpret the information and they can be misguided. So we need to help them right then and there in order to avoid any misleading concepts and thoughts. Avoid fast-paced programming, which young children have a hard time understanding. Apps with a lot of distracting content and violent media. Eliminate advertising on apps, since young children have trouble telling the difference between ads and factual information. Also, encouraging children to learn the digital how it works, and at some point our child will be exposed to content anyway that you have not approved and devices without internet filters. Talk to your child about the situation that could occur and the behavior you expect from them. Encourage your child to think critically about what they see on their screen. Ask your child to consider whether everything on the internet is accurate. So just to see what is their understanding, what do they think. You can talk for half an hour, 1 hour, or 2 hours, give them the lecture, but unless you listen to them, you will not have the accurate understanding of the child, what they are thinking, what is their understanding. So we always listen. Let them do the free talk without asking any question, because there is a general principle: whatever is important in person's mind, it is on top of the head. And whenever they meet with you, they will tell you those important things. If you don't say anything, that will come automatically. For example, 5, 6 year old or even older child go to the school, they come back home, and you just look at the child and greet them and don't say anything, they will start talking. They will say something depending upon their experience, depending upon how the day went, what is important for them. So just listening will give a parent a lot of information. Just listening and observing them carefully. For example, when the child is coming, I always tell the parents that when the child comes from the school or from outside, when they come home, just make an eye contact with them. You will learn a lot of information. Do they feel shy? Do they feel scared? Do they feel happy? Do they feel excited? Do they feel sad? And look at their clothings. How do you see if there is any mark or on the, anything on the clothes, like there is a dirt or dust or anything, or have they been, they have some friction rubs on the knees or elbows or anything, they fall or no fall. Observe and watch their skin, hand skin, face skin, if there is anything. It takes longer in talking than observing. In 30 seconds, you can do a full body scan to see that. If there is any unusual mark or anything, you can ask the child what happened, what is there, and ask them and explore and make sure that this is safe. Because certain information which is on top of their mind, but certain information they will not tell you. Maybe this is very serious information and you want to know about it. They will not tell you because they are scared, they are shy, or they are not sure of your reaction. So this is also a very important thing which we can do, which we can learn from the children, and especially let them talk freely, and every day give them few minutes to talk about it. I think it will also be helpful for them to share with you the story, what they have watched on the screen, what they have seen on the TV or on the iPad. Okay. Does your child know how to tell if website is trustworthy? So giving them a bit knowledge, giving age appropriate knowledge. Of course, we cannot give them too much information to 7, 8-year-old when they will not understand. So we'll talk to them according to their capability to understand that. Help your child understand that media are made by humans with points of view. As we discussed before, they have a different viewpoint towards life, toward the religious belief system, towards the cultural values, towards the ethnic priorities. So this is very important for the children to understand that. Explain that many types of technology collect data to send users ads or to make money. So they need to understand and do not give information unnecessarily, and be careful when filling up the forms or getting the registrations or going online and going to give their personal information. Set reasonable limits for your child's screen time, especially if your child's use of screen is hindering involvement in other activities. We discussed before, prioritize unplugged, unstructured playtime. This is much better for the children. Create tech-free zones or times, such as during mealtime or one night a week. Actually, I would say all nights a week, because I'm not in favor of keeping the phone, iPads, TVs in the bedroom. When they are sleep time, they just read. If they like, they read the story, read the book, and then go to sleep, rather than having a phone in the bed and using it before going to sleep. Discourage use of media entertainment during homework. because it can distract them, it can take longer time, they can be more frustrated, the quality of work can be decreased. Set and enforce daily or weekly screen time limits and curfew, such as no exposure to devices or screens 1 hour before bedtime, because it can also stimulate and it can delay your sleeping time. Consider using apps that control the length of time a child can use a device. Require your children to charge their devices outside of their bedrooms at night. Keep screens out of your child's bedroom. Limit your own screen time. The behavior speaks louder than the words. If we are on the screen all the time, of course, we have to watch the messages and we have to communicate, we have to talk on the phone, but limiting our own screen time in front of the children and otherwise is very, very, very important. What applies to the others applies to us as well. Eliminate background TV. What does it mean is sometime in some of the families, this is tradition that they are sitting in the living area or wherever, and they keep low volume TV running in the background, and it's always doing that. I think this is a pollution and distraction. I don't recommend that. It's not especially not good for the younger children. So online relationships and social media have become a major part of the adolescent life. Experts suggest that it's okay for your teen to be a part of this world as long as he or she understands appropriate behavior. So I will take this statement with the word of caution that you need to understand what your adolescent is capable of, what they understand, what they don't understand. Actually, in the adolescent years, there is a lot of false confidence, and which can put the teens in trouble, and which can be harmful for them. So the teens, they feel oftentimes overconfidence, and oftentimes they claim they know what they don't know. So I caution the parents with the teens, but at the same time, you need to be very, very empathic with them. You cannot just say cut and dry, stop it, and this will not work, because if you stop them without convincing them, they probably will hide, they will probably sneak, they will try to use it by other ways. So it's more important to help them understand and be convinced. Explain to them what is allowed, what is not, and also educate them about cyberbullying and sharing personal information online. Teach your child not to send or share anything online that he or she would not want the entire world to see for eternity, because it's not uncommon for the adolescent when they share something confidentially with their close friends. That close friend can share with the whole class or with the other group of friends, and then it can become embarrassing incidents, and it can lead to many social problems, and the person who have shared regret and lose trust in the world, and they start developing the mistrust towards the entire world. And that's how the personality and the behavior develops in the life. And then you know what I'm talking, it can be difficult in future life to trust the spouse, to mate, to colleagues and stuff. No matter how smart or mature you feel your child is, monitor his or her online and social media behavior. The child is bound to make mistakes using media. Talk to your child and help him or her learn from the mistakes. Also set an example. Consider that your child is watching you for cues on when it's okay to use screen and how to use them. Managing your child's use of screen and media will be an ongoing challenge. But by developing household rules and revisiting them as your child grows, you can help ensure a safe experience. So with this, I will just stop here. I think we are a little bit early. It's 42. So I will, this is the website. If somebody is interested, they can get. And also the last but not least, always look at for the information on the trusted sources. Like all the information may not be correct, whatever is online available or on the website or the YouTube and everything. Just always look for the source of information. The Mayo Clinic, I don't know people know about it. This is a very big institution in the US, and it's a very well reputed, and they have a very credible information. The other universities are like Columbia University. I'm a graduate from there. That is a very reliable resource. The UCLA, University of California. Brown's, Oxford in London, and other universities. There are a lot of good institutions for this information. Please do not rely on a single source on non-evidence-based information, because those are the personal stories and they can be right or wrong. So please always look for the source of the information where you're getting this information. So I will open the panel for the question answers and comments, please. Can you hear me, please? Okay, so I will read the question. The first question is, how do I break my child's screen addiction? So I would, before answering the question, to be more specific, I will ask the age and gender of the child. What is the age and gender of the child? Because this is different for the different age groups. Okay, so for 5 years. So 5-year-old screen addiction, first of all, we need to evaluate how much, what you call the screen addiction. Is it 4 or 5 hours in 24 hours, or it is 10 hours or 8 hours? First of all, this. And we also need to, 5-year-old boy. So we need to investigate, like, what are the causes? Is this child is alone? This child doesn't have a sibling. Or if the child has a sibling and all the siblings are on the screen, the siblings are older and they are not connecting with him, they are not spending time with him, the parents are not spending time with him. So all these questions we need to ask ourselves. So if that is the case, if the older siblings, teenagers, 10 11-year-old siblings, they are on their own, and because of the age difference they don't have a much common interest, the parents can mediate, they can moderate their play together. Parents spend time with the child. Parent can help child develop the positive behaviors, the play activities, the card games, the board games, and help them develop some reading skills. Because you cannot just say that, oh, you cannot be on the phone or iPad, and then don't give them the alternative, because that will not succeed. So some parents, probably because the child is young, some people use the strategy not directly saying, oh, please don't use the phone. They just gradually and slowly facilitate them, transition them from the screen to the physical play, like a board games, or taking them outside, or doing some exercise, or helping them develop some reading habits, develop some the drawing skills or something. So this is very, very important, because if you just use the word saying that, okay, you cannot be on the you cannot be on the phone, you cannot be on the iPad, so it will not work. And if this is very severe and the child is not giving up, then you can transition from the small screen to the big screen. For example, you can put some healthy and some good programs on the TV and at least let them watch together and spend time with them. And trust me, spending this time is very, very valuable, and it will save your time in future. So initially it might take a little bit time of yours to be with them and to help them and educate them, but later on it will pay off once they are on their own and they like it. Okay, I have another question. If it's hard for 9-year-old kid to focus, how can I help him or her? So again, this is not black and white. There's a lot of gray area. What do you mean by the 9-year-old cannot focus? So hard to focus means if this is a mild symptoms or mild focus issues, then we can help them develop some incentive programs. For example, as I mentioned before, the children with the focus issue or ADHD issues, the incentive drive them. That's why they can spend hours on the video games, but they don't want to solve one math problem. So we can incentivize their educational activity or any behavior which we want them to develop the positive behavior. So we can incentivize them, and we can help them. We can sit with them. So this is for the in general. But for the school, how much hours should 10-year-old kid use? How much hours should 10-year-old kid use? Use for what? For the screen time? So 10-year-old screen time, as I said, the minimum is better. But because the screen time, the question is, let me answer first 9-year-old. So depending upon the how much is the focus issue, if this is affecting the educational, social, and other important areas of life, then it need to be evaluated. For 9-year-old, I'm talking about the focus issue. So, but if this is not affecting the educational, social, and they are still getting, the child is able to get A's and B's, but they are not focused, this means that this child has a more potential and they can get even better scoring. They can do even better in the school and academic activities if they are focused. For those kids, depending upon if mild to moderate, we can use the behavioral modification plan. If moderate to severe, then we need to do the both evaluation and the proper treatment planning in order to help the child. So the next question is, how much hours should 10-year-old kid use on the screen time? As we said in our slides, we can say 2 hours in 24 hours. Less is better, but this is very difficult to limit that, because what if they have a 2 hours, 3 hours Zoom class? Now, because of this area and this time in the world, we are more doing a more online works like the Zoom teaching, Zoom activities, Zoom assignments, and the video calls and all these things. So in that case, the two-way communication is superior to the one-way communication. This is the general principle. Still, if there is a healthy activity on the screen, that is acceptable as long as you are supervising closely. So this is fine. For 10-year-old, screen time, depending upon the school activities, and other than school activity, I can use it as an incentive, a bonus. If the child is doing well and they are doing the homework, they are following your directions, and they are, they are following whatever you are saying, then you can tell them, okay, you earn the 30-minute screen time or 1 hour screen time, and so on and so forth. And by not following the direction, not doing the homework, they will that time will be confiscated. Okay, so there's another question. Even if I'm allowing kids, 2 boys age 7 and 9, for a total of 2 hours per week, their focus gets disrupted for a day. How to take them out from wandering world? Okay, let me understand the question. If I'm allowing kids, they are 7 and 9-year-old boys, total of 2 hours per week. So this means, what I understand is, the 2 boys, 7 and 9-year-old, if they spend 2 hours per week screen time, their focus get disrupted. This is interesting. Actually, I agree with you. The screen time does disrupt the focus, but some people are more sensitive to the other. If these children are more sensitive, then I think we need to make a strategy. And screen time means, depending upon what kind of screen time. If they are playing very high-speed games, or they are doing the video games, high-speed chasing, or fighting, or violence, or anything, that can affect much more than the regular games, the boxing, the simple football, chess, or other games that will affect. So it all depends upon the type of games and the amount of time they are spending. So this is a bit unusual. So if this is the case, then I would definitely have the children to discuss with somebody, some health professional, to see a little bit more about it, because this is probably we need more information to address that. Now, the next question is, can too much screen time trigger aggressive behavior in children? Yes, yes, too much screen time, because in normal life, the life is slow. In the screen time, usually the events are very fast. Actually, in one study showing hundreds of slides pass very quickly in front of the eyes, and this is very engaging. And the mind is working at a very high speed. As you can see, when we make the video, when we take the single snapshot, it's a one picture, but we make a video, there are so many pictures of each, I mean, many pictures in even a second. So that's why it can actually create some sort of increased activity or hyperactivity in the brain. So the amount of time the kids are watching these high-paced games or high-paced videos, their mind is working very fast. And when they stop it, it takes actually some time to slow it down. That's why we recommend that before going to the sleep, please do not let them use the screens, the electronic media, or anything, just to let them slow off. Just like an airplane, when they are traveling 700-800 miles an hour, and when they are about to land, their speed has decreased and they start descending 10-20 miles even before the airport. So this is just like a slowing down before going to the bed. uh, the next question, I think combination of the same. How can we reduce screen time these days as their classes are online, plus as they are not going out? So the only form of entertainment they can think of is online games watching. I agree this challenge has increased, even though, trust me, I mean, even before the COVID era, there were a lot of complaints from the parents, but now they are more so because of the limited access. And being in UAE, this weather is very harsh anyway, so we don't have a much time to go into the parks or outside activity. Even the malls are a little bit restricted because of this thing. Um, so seeing that in home, depending upon the home environment and the availability and resources, if you have a space, how much space do you have? I would still encourage the real communication, like sibling communication, parent communication, talking to each other, playing games together. Board games is one way to do that. Taking a walk around the home or nearby with proper safety measures and so forth. So that's the only way. I will not compromise and take making this an excuse that as we don't have an activity and we don't have a choice, because if we do that, we have to pay the price for that. So now the continuation of the same is, nowadays school work itself is 4-5 hours. Add that to about 1 hour entertainment and then about an hour of Islamic education. It's hard to manage out to reduce. Let's not confuse these the school time, then the Zoom classes, and with the simpler YouTube video clips, which is entertaining and just like some stories about some person or some events that has been one-way communication. The Zoom communication or the two-way communication in the school is not that bad. Let's put it this way, because in this way, at least the teacher is there or somebody is there on the other side, which is communicating, and it will help the children develop some kind of social skills. It will add on to their knowledge, and it is not that bad as compared to the one-way screen time. So I agree. I mean, this is the need of the time that the video calls and video conferences are allowed, but at the same time, we can limit the one-way communication time. We can limit the violent games. We can limit the high, fast-paced games, which can be a little bit harmful for the kids. Okay. Next is it correct that kids who are playing high-paced games become sharp? This is a misconception. The children playing the high-paced game, yes, their mind is working fast and they learn to work fast to some extent. As you can see that if there is some motor, you drive them excessively, but that motor or whatever that is, that will be that will have some harmful effect as well. So having said this, the sharp paced games, the kids can be very sharp in that particular game, but this doesn't mean that they are sharp in other areas or studies or other areas as well. So the children learn whatever they practice. If some child is playing the high speed chase with the joysticks or the sticks, so those kids can be very, very expert and very, very smart or sharp in those activities only, not in the math activity, not in the scientific knowledge. So that is true, because and that is not the intelligence, that is the practice actually. As we say, practice makes the person perfect, means whatever they practice, they become good into it. But it doesn't mean that their mind is working very fast. I have seen the kids who are very good in the high speed chase and the shooting games and all these things, but when you ask them some logical question or some abstract questions, it becomes difficult for them to even age appropriate questions. They are difficult for them to answer. Is there any way to take husbands out of their screen addictions? This is a very interesting question. Very interesting. So cook good foods. Good food is a one thing, and talk to them interesting things. Not to tell them always, I like this diamond, I like this suit or something. So talk what they like. So in other words, when the people also go to the screen when they feel bored, so let them not get bored. What is a good amount of screen time? None. When I say none, this means use always when it is needed. So if I'm free, I have seen, in waiting areas and in some airport wait or in somewhere else, wherever I'm waiting, I see the people are sticked or glued to the screen. I don't like this. Myself personally, what I'm concerned is I look at the WhatsApp message. If there is any urgent message or anything, or I will just check my email quickly or check my missed calls. That's all. Even if I'm waiting, I will not do that. Or I will answer my patient queries, or some people have a question or answer. Trust me, you will be surprised. I don't like to watch the video games, and I believe this is a waste of time. This is my personal opinion. I think it's a waste of time even to sit in front of the screen for 15 minutes to listen to or watch somebody's fabricated or invented story. I don't think there's a logic behind it. You have mentioned in your talk that we should help them learn positive behavior and healthy behavior. Can you please shed some light on how to do that? Oh, this question is a whole book, and it's about 12 o'clock. How we can do that? So the positive behavior is all okay. I will close this question by saying the remarks, and please listen carefully. It's not very tricky, but you need to pay attention to understand this. The whole world, revolves around the reward. I hope people understand. It's a one-way communication, so you guys cannot tell me, but I hope you understand. And if you understand, what does it mean is anything in the world is reward associated. For example, I'm being here is reward associated. I have the to share my knowledge, I have to give away, and your reason for sticking to this conversation is to learn and educate. This is a reward. Our reason to go to the work is to get compensated. Our reason to do the philanthropy job is to giving away and earn some good deeds. So whenever there is a reward and incentive, we try to achieve that behavior. So does with the kids. When we reward their good behavior and we don't forget that, and immediate reward is most efficient and it's most helpful. So whenever you see your child is doing the good thing, for example, they are 9-year-old girl or boy, 10-year-old, they are helping you in the kitchen, they are listening to you, or they are following your direction, you reward them. Even a smile is a reward. Even a good word, oh my son, I'm proud of you, is a reward. Or pat them on their back is a reward. Help them get the coins, like give them the tokens, like these are the tokens, the money value. You can buy the things you like, but this reward should not be a food or anything. They can buy the books, clothing, and something like that. So the reward the good behavior, ignore the bad behavior. If the bad behavior is too bad, then you have to sit and confront them. So that's the key for success. And I'm not telling you first time, I'm sure you heard this many times before, but there is nothing more to it. Please, I'm sorry. Even myself, I use reward with my kids, and we have to promote it, and we have to use it consistently. And there's one more thing what I would like to add is that husband and wife, parents, God made a beautiful family. In this case, please be on the same page. The children should get the consistent information, not a conflicting information. This is very important for them to learn. If they get the conflicting information, they will get confused. Okay. So no more questions. And okay.
Ibrahim Drive.
Sorry, my phone is also. How can we turn screen into an educational experience? This is last. I'll just comment onto it. Whatever you see in the screen, you can make sense out of it. What is the meaning of it? What is the message in there? If this is a positive, healthy message, you convey them. If this is not a good message, even this is a message, you tell them this is not a good message. We don't believe that. We don't follow that. Okay. So thank you very much for being there. And if there is any further question, please feel free to send me on the WhatsApp or on the email, and I'll be happy to do that. And I think they will announce about the next webinar. Thank you very much. And please do the feedback. I'm sure they have the feedback form. Please fill out the feedback form and share with the management as well as myself. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Hello. Yes, please. Are we done?